Santa Cruz is a small coastal town in California. It's at the northern end of Monterey Bay. It looks like paradise. Look at that beach. Look at these mountains. Breathe that air. It's a place where the blind could go sightseeing. And then in recent years, it's become a place that's become more and more favored by the people over the hill in Silicon Valley, that being the people with money. Forrest Hayes started life in the Midwest, in Dearborn, Michigan, and he went out to Silicon Valley where everything was happening. He was hired by Google. He had 5 kids. And then one day, a friend of his emailed him a picture of a boat that was for sale, and a couple days later, he bought it. The 2 things he loved were his family and being on his boat. He called it escape. I think that some part of him really wanted to, taste that other side of life, that kind of darker side, wilder, more exotic side of life. On the night of November 22nd, 2013, Forrest Hayes was on his yacht, and he didn't come home that night. And his wife became concerned, and she called the captain they retained for this yacht. And he went and he got on the boat, and there's Forrest Hayes lying there dead. The detectives arrive, and they start looking at the scene, and it turned out he had in fact died of a heroin overdose. There was a visible injection mark in his arm, but they don't see drugs. But you do see 2 wine glasses. Detective 101, someone else has been there. And the question is who?
At that point, we realized that's our person. That's who we're going after.
157, time is 8:08.
What is the truth behind how Forrest Hayes died? How did he find himself in this situation, in this position that took his life? Who was on that boat?
Then they're looking around and they see there's cameras. There was indeed somebody else there. A very beautiful, dark-haired woman. They note that she has these tattoos. And they also probably figured that Forrest didn't meet her, at parent-teacher night. This is Alex Tickleman.
Do you think Alex Tickleman knew that Forrest Hayes was dying right there in front of her?
I don't see how she didn't know.
Detectives then discovered that this was not the first time Alex Tickleman had been with somebody who died of a drug overdose.
Is this woman a cold-blooded killer?
She certainly was cold.
When he's not out looking for the big wave, there's a big story that has consumed Stephen Baxter, a reporter for the Santa Cruz Sentinel and a 48 Hours consultant. The mysterious death of Google executive Forrest Hayes at the city's sprawling marina.
Forrest Hayes was 51 years old. He lived in a pretty upper crust neighborhood. He was a pretty high-powered guy and obviously had a lot of assets. I mean, he lived in a $3 million house in Santa Cruz.
In 2013, one of the boats docked in Santa Cruz Harbor was this majestic 46-foot-long yacht called the Escape. It belonged to Google executive Forrest Hayes. Not surprisingly, the tech exec outfitted his boat with some of the most expensive tech gear out there, about $200,000 worth, including a sophisticated security system complete with high-def cameras. Inside, Hayes spared no expense on creature comforts, including a leather ceiling and an $8,000 captain's chair.
I think he was practical and imaginative at the same time.
The Google executive's death caught the attention of Michael Daly. He's an investigative reporter for the Daily Beast in New York and also a 48 Hours consultant.
Forrest Hayes started in his native Michigan, working at the Ford Motor Company. He went to California for Sun Microsystems, and he went on to Apple, and then he went on to Google.
For a high-paying job at their top-secret location, where impossible dreams are transformed into reality.
He was hired to work in Google X, which they call their moonshot factory. You know, the most extreme, wildest, imaginative, farthest reaching ideas they could have, you know, like Google glasses, self-driving cars. He was the guy who was actually gonna make some of these things happen.
A place so secretive that colleagues from Google X refused to divulge exactly what Hayes did there. To get away from the pressures of work, Forrest Hayes would head to the marina and on to his prized possession.
One of the larger boats in the harbor, I think that's fair to say.
What police would eventually discover was Hayes, the married father of 5, had a secret liaison. She was a young and exotic dark-haired woman, covered with very distinctive tattoos. And she would be the last person to see Forrest Hayes alive. Hayes' body was found lying here in the main cabin. The captain immediately called 911, but surprisingly, it would take months before the Google executive's death made headlines.
There was no really report of his death. Obviously, the police in this case were trying to keep that under wraps as they investigated.
Santa Cruz Deputy Police Chief Steve Clark.
12211.
Clark has been on this case since day one.
The media is going to want to know right off the bat, who is it, who's responsible, is this a homicide, is this a murder? We didn't have enough to really even put that out. We were busy building the case.
Which wasn't easy, despite some initial crime scene clues.
There were 2 wine glasses there, both which appeared to have been used.
Investigators zeroed in on Hayes' cell phone, launching an exhaustive digital search. Then a stunning discovery. Hayes had a profile page on a dating website called seekingarrangement.com. It would be a critical clue in learning the identity of that mystery tattooed woman. It was just a few days before Thanksgiving 2013. What happened that night was recorded by the boat's video cameras. This camera in particular caught the very last moments of Hayes' life in chilling detail.
Initially, we were told that the video wasn't available from that particular camera that actually showed the cabin of the boat. There was indeed video that was uploaded to a cloud server, and the video from that camera was indeed available. That was one of those moments where you feel like, you know, it was 4th and 1 and you got a first down.
Actually, it took 3 months and a court order for detectives to get their hands on that video. And when they did, it was explosive.
That video was shocking to me.
What do you see on this video?
Well, the video is everything. The video is the case.
Police have yet to release the video, but described in detail to 48 Hours exactly what they say happened that night between the couple. Essentially, it was a party for 2, drugs included.
They greet each other, a quick hug, just a quick embrace. You can see that they're engaged in conversation, but there's no audio. And then eventually she gets to the point where she starts to prepare drugs for injection. She brought all of the equipment with her. She brought the drugs with her.
As police would learn, the drug of choice that night was heroin.
We see her prepare the syringe. We see her, it looks like she's injecting herself, but her back's to the camera. He watches this happen, and then she eventually injects him.
Do you feel like at any point when you're watching the video that this is a guy who is afraid and doesn't want to do this?
I get the impression he's nervous, he's uncertain, but he's going along with it.
And what happens then?
Almost immediately, he starts to go into distress. At some point, she comes to him, and it looks like she tries to revive him a bit by patting him on the face and talking to him, holding his head as he slumped forward on the chair. And you or I, if we found ourselves in that situation, would have been on the phone to 911 saying, oh my gosh, something terrible's happened, we need help. And she does none of that.
Instead, Clark says the video shows the woman trying to remove any evidence that she was ever there, wiping fingerprints and cleaning up her drug paraphernalia.
While he's slumped over on the floor?
While he's on the floor.
She's stepping over him?
She is literally walking around the cabin of the boat, stepping over him, grabbing her glass of wine, carrying it around the boat cabin with her.
Clark says that portion of the video, with Hayes on the floor of the cabin, goes on for 7 minutes.
And that's 7 minutes that emergency medical personnel could have been there, could have done something, and could have reacted to the situation to save Mr. Hayes' life. But instead, she does nothing to call for help or to fix this. You know, and that's the crux of the case.
Armed with that video, police hit pay dirt. They were able to match the woman with those distinctive tattoos to a profile on the dating website Hayes had used. She was a 26-year-old aspiring model. Her name, Alex Tickleman. The wealthy Google executive found the exotic beauty in a somewhat secret world where real names are rarely used.
Technically, Alex Tickleman and Forrest Hayes met here in Las Vegas, not at an upscale casino or a fancy hotel lobby bar, but rather through an online website, which is headquartered just a stone's throw from the Strip. And as 48 Hours discovered, it's not your typical dating website.
What year did you start seeking arrangement?
It was started in 2006 from a bedroom in San Francisco, actually.
It may have the look and feel of a startup, but with nearly 4 million members worldwide, this is big business.
What is seeking arrangement?
SeekingArrangement.com is a sugar daddy dating website. So we match wealthy guys and girls looking to pamper and spoil, and of course younger men and women looking to meet those wealthy people.
CEO Brandon Wade, a boyish 43-year-old, says he's become a multi-millionaire from all the arranging he's been doing.
Is seeking arrangement about arranging sexual relationships for money?
It is about finding romance and passion. I'm unapologetic about the fact that sex is involved in a romantic relationship and money is involved in a romantic relationship, but that doesn't make the romantic relationship prostitution.
Deputy Police Chief Steve Clark, the point man in the Hayes death case, strongly disagrees.
It doesn't take a Sherlock Holmes to take a look at that website and figure out exactly what was going on there. The titles of the individuals are sugar babies and sugar daddies. There's no innocent connotation there behind any of that.
What is budget? That's what he's willing to spend?
That's his sort of lifestyle. So it could be going out for dinners, paying for that, going on trips.
Okay, so does a woman think you're going to spend $3,000 on me? A sugar baby thinks you're going to spend
Yeah, on the
$3,000?
relationship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wade is proud that his membership ranks include employees of leading Fortune 500 companies, including, he says, from Google.
Was Forrest Hayes a typical client of yours?
I would say he is an average client of ours.
Married, tech executive,
looking for some sort of arrangement.
Yep, 40% of the guys are married.
It's unknown if Hayes was fulfilling the, quote, expectations, unquote, of any sugar baby's lifestyle requests, which range from $1,000 to over $10,000 in monthly sugar daddy gifts.
Can you tell us anything about Alex Tickleman's profile on Seeking Arrangement?
Well, the only thing I can say is that it looked like any other normal profile, so it was approved, and there was no indication that she was soliciting money for sex, at least not with that profile.
After Hayes' death, investigators began tracking Alex Tickleman on social media. Fearing she might leave town, they hatched a plan to catch her, using seekingarrangement.com. Reporter Stephen Baxter.
When she posted on Facebook something to the effect of, I plan to go back to Georgia, that's when they decided to really go in and pursue her on the same website, just the way Forrest had, and pose as a John and lure her back to Santa Cruz.
We started seeing chatter from her that indicated she was either going to move out of the country or out of the state.
Now, there's a clock on this because she's about to head south. So they do kind of a classic sting.
We sold out our detective and made him set up a profile under a different identity and made up a whole story about him. We then posted that out there, and we reached out to Alex Tickleman through Seeking Arrangement.
Codenamed Sebastian, that detective began emailing and texting with Tickleman, hoping for a rendezvous.
Eventually, we convinced her to come down and meet with us for an agreed-upon arrangement for sex, for prostitution, and for a sum of money.
Police deposited some money, several $100s, into her bank account with a promise of at least $1,000 upon arrival and everything else.
This did not appear to you that this was the first time she had negotiated such a situation?
No, in fact, she kind of called us out, called us a cheapskate, told us that, you know, many of her clients pay twice that.
8 months after the death of Forrest Hayes, Alex Tickleman once again showed up in Santa Cruz County, this time at the secluded resort behind me. Once again, she came with heroin in her bag, expecting to hook up with a sugar daddy from Seeking Arrangement. And once again, it did not go as planned.
When you said we're the cops and we're the ones you've been communicating with, what was her reaction?
Oh, she cried, she panicked. That's when we saw panic.
26-year-old Alex Tickleman was stunned. Police arrested her for prostitution and charged her in the death of Forrest Hayes.
This was a crime. This wasn't just some accident gone awry. Mr. Hayes is a victim of the murder committed by Alex Tickleman.
Or was he? What happened that night, say Alex's defenders, is much more complicated.
For me, I mean, she was somebody completely different.
Perhaps no one was more surprised by the arrest of Alex Tickleman than struggling musician Chad Cornell. He was in love with her.
When I first saw her, you know, I couldn't help but to say something. She has a very darker style. You know, I just thought she was really beautiful, almost like the, you know, Angelina Jolie kind of look.
Chad had no idea how dark her life really was.
Did you believe she was falling in love with you?
I did.
Chad thought his girlfriend was a model. There were countless images, a swimsuit commercial, and a makeup tutorial she did online.
Just going to apply liberally. Pretty, pretty, pretty. Okay.
And as far as Chad could tell, she was always answering modeling calls.
She'd get all dolled up and go to a photo shoot. She would usually make about $1,000 or so when she'd go out to these modeling shoots.
So imagine how he felt to learn months later that his beloved girlfriend was now being accused of doing something altogether different for all that money.
I got the text with the news link on it and kind of just fell over on the couch, like in shock.
The woman he once thought he'd spend the rest of his life with was now not only charged with prostitution, but also in the death of Google executive Forrest Hayes.
What are you thinking? This is a woman you were in love with.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I was devastated. You know, I turned white.
As the news sank in, to his complete amazement, Chad realized that just hours before Alex met up with Forrest on that fateful night, she was with him.
We were hanging out that day, actually, and she told me that some of her longtime high school friends were in Santa Cruz and had a boat, and she had planned to go hang out with them. And later on that night, she actually woke me up out of bed with a phone call. She was, you know, really frantic on the phone. She sounded very upset.
What was she talking about?
She talked about how her friends had started doing heroin and a bunch of hardcore drugs on the boat and made her uncomfortable, and that she had to leave.
But you believed on that call that she sounded genuinely upset.
Crying, sniffling, I mean, upset.
Because the truth, he now knows, was much worse. And it's left him wondering whether he ever really knew who Alex was.
Who is Alex Tickleman, right? Who is she?
Reporter Michael Daly did what police investigators did. And using the tools of Forrest's employer, he Googled her.
This, the police discovered, was Alex Tickleman's Twitter account.
Calling herself A.K. Kennedy XX.
1X short of XXX, baddest bitch, model, stylist, hustler, exotic dancer. Those are her words. These are the pictures to go with the words. This has the charming inscription, "To death do us part." You might start believing less in coincidence on seeing that.
But to Daly, Alex's postings looked more like someone trying to create an image rather than someone obsessed with killing. That's because he came across this photo.
My beautiful mother and I out to lunch, no makeup face. And this is a young woman who wants to be with mom.
Alex posted it just months before her arrest for Forrest's death.
It makes you think that there's a fuller story.
So how did it come to this? Childhood pictures show a cute blonde tomboy who appeared to have all the advantages in life. Growing up with her sister Monica, who would become an investment counselor, her mother Leslie Ann, and her father Bart, a CEO for a technology company, and a pretty good poker player.
And he, at one point, found himself playing with some of the best poker players in the world, and he won like $400,000.
Alex spent her early teens in an Atlanta suburb where she played sports and won writing awards.
Her friends say that she's very smart, very deep.
But also very troubled.
Her experiences with boys were not always happy ones. And she had eating disorders. She was taking drugs.
Desperate, her parents went looking for help and located a school that they thought would give her special attention.
So they found this place called the Hyde School in Maine.
We are in Maine, en route to Hyde.
Megan was a student at the Hyde School where Alex spent a few months.
I can feel like pressure in my chest. It's nerve-wracking.
She asked us not to use her last name, but agreed to travel back to the Hyde School campus.
I want people to see this very pivotal part of her life that I feel probably affected her at a very huge point in her development, why she is who she is.
So do you remember when you first met Alex? Do you happen to remember the very first time you saw her?
100%. She was gorgeous and she was very awkward.
The cute blonde girl next door was long gone.
She barely ate. She was very skinny. She was real thin. She was emotionally kind of closed off.
I think the big question then is why? What had happened to her?
I don't know the truth to that. She never really told me there was a specific catalyst.
But Megan says Alex did hint at some traumatic events.
We talked about the fact that we had issues trusting men. We had become numb to a lot of things.
Alex had started cutting herself. This is a photo of Alex, her then bunkmate, put in a scrapbook. It reads, "Psycho Roomie. Look at the cuts on her arm."
Alex Tickleman was actually the first person that I met who did that.
Ashley Kent lived in Alex's dorm.
She came to the school with the scars. She had already etched things into her arm, and she had already made this image of herself as this, like, devil person. Like, that's how she dressed, kind of like devil worshiper.
But was that really who Alex was?
She was actually a really nice girl. It was very much like a front that she was putting on, an image.
Megan noticed it too.
Once you bypass those walls, she was just a normal girl who was scared.
And what was she scared of?
I think herself, honestly. I mean, we didn't know who we were. We had resorted to things that, not every person chooses. We had been in trouble.
And at Hyde, it seemed Alex was always in trouble. Megan says they punished her.
You're forced to do manual labor, physical labor. They basically tell you what you can and can't do.
This is the area, Megan says, where she and Alex were forced to build a road.
We hoed it, each person, and we weeded it, and then they made us cart like wheelbarrows, like huge wheelbarrows full of rocks up and spread them. So we basically built a dirt road on campus.
Ashley remembers one night waking up to Alex screaming. What happened sounds like a scene out of a Stephen King movie.
She kind of walked down the halls and was cutting herself really late at night.
She began just to hurt herself because that's what she thought she deserved.
When it didn't work out at Hyde, Alex's parents tried other schools. But the worst was still to come.
She talked about taking heroin when she was in her teens.
And by her early 20s, Alex was living in San Francisco, working strip clubs like Larry Flint's Hustler and the Condor. Eventually, she found her way back home to Atlanta, where her life would take a dramatic turn.
This kind of great thing happens. She meets a guy named Dean.
Dean was much older, but so in love with Alex, he wanted to marry her.
So maybe there's going to be a happy ending here anyway.
Then, in September 2013,
I don't know, I think my boyfriend overdosed or something.
2 months before Forrest Hayes died, Alex's fiance, Dean, died with heroin in his system.
He won't respond, and he's just laying on the ground. I don't know.
Was it an unfortunate coincidence or something more sinister?
It's good to be here. It's good to be back.
It is one of the hottest concert venues in Atlanta, Georgia. The Masquerade, and it all belonged to this man, 53-year-old Dean Riopel, a former cross-dressing singer for the rock band The Impotent Sea Snakes. In September of 2013, Dean died of a heroin overdose. His girlfriend at the time, Alex Tickleman.
I think my boyfriend overdosed or something. He won't respond.
Alex made that 911 call after she says she discovered Dean unconscious in his North Atlanta home. That was just 2 months before Alex was with Google executive Forrest Hayes when he died.
157 time is 808.
Santa Cruz Deputy Police Chief Steve Clark.
We were surprised the similarities in their case to our case.
Based on Alex's arrest in Santa Cruz for the death of Forrest Hayes, police in Milton, Georgia are now taking a second look at Dean Riopel's death. What was first ruled an accidental overdose might very well become a criminal matter.
I think she had something to do with his death. I really do.
One person who believes Alex should be held responsible for Dean's death is his former employee, Christina Brooker.
That's cute.
An aspiring model, for a few months in 2012, she lived in Dean's house. taking care of his children from a previous marriage, and his pet hobby, raising dozens of monkeys.
He said he had a dream about monkeys one day, and he just started collecting them. You know, he had the money to, so why not?
Samson, Delilah, Jezebel, some have names.
Dean told an Atlanta TV station that he had hopes of turning his property into a zoo.
Anybody who would spend 20 minutes or an hour with one would see they have a little bit more personality than most other animals.
But Christina says his real passion was the woman also featured in that news story, Dean's live-in girlfriend, Alex Tickleman.
Oh, he loved her. He absolutely loved her. He wanted to marry her, and she wanted to marry him too.
Dean loved everything about Alex, except the drugs. By the time Alex hooked up with Dean, she was a full-blown heroin addict. Dean, Christina says, did not share Alex's bad habits.
Did you ever see him drink?
Never.
Smoke?
Never.
Do drugs?
Not once.
Christina stopped working for Dean almost a year before he died. Still, she's sure Dean would never inject himself with heroin. But she wonders if Alex might have.
Do you think that's what happened?
I think it's possible, especially with the case in Santa Cruz where she actually did that.
The idea that she's going around randomly sticking people with heroin needles is preposterous. These are grown men. They know exactly what they're doing.
So this is the masquerade. This is Dean's club.
Todd is an Atlanta businessman. He has asked us not to use his last name, but says as a close friend of Alex Tickleman, he could no longer keep quiet about what he knows about the couple.
She was devastated after Dean passed away.
He says not only did Dean drink, he drank a lot.
But she loved him and he loved her. If he were alive today, he would be the first one to bail her out of jail, and he would be absolutely mortified at how the people around him have treated her.
And Todd says Dean was determined to get Alex off heroin. He sent her to rehab and even bought her an engagement ring. He texted Todd.
This is August 30th of 2013. He was getting Alex a wedding ring. They were going to get married.
That's just 3 weeks before Dean would overdose.
She gets her ring. She picked it out today. We drug test every week. If she can stay clean for 14 months, we will get married Halloween night 2014.
These are text messages that have never been made public. Todd showed them exclusively to 48 Hours.
Alex says this is the first time in 10 years she has gotten out of detox or rehab and lasted a whole week before shooting up again.
But Alex didn't stay clean for long. And on September 7th, 2013, just 10 days before his fatal overdose, Dean made a shocking discovery. Alex was online, advertising herself to men.
She hated that she was compelled to do it because she had this addiction. There were guys who wanted to rent her penthouse apartments, men with a lot of power and a lot of status, but she wasn't interested in anything except getting the money to support her habit. She loved Dean. She wanted to be with Dean. But she had this deep, dark secret.
And Todd says when Dean found out, he flipped out.
He said, "Can I move all of the prostitute to your place tomorrow? She is better over there, and I would like to bring her stuff to you today so I don't have to see the whore again."
But Dean didn't kick Alex out. Instead, Todd says he hit the bottle hard.
Once he discovered the ad, things began to fall apart. Dean desperately loved her. Dean wanted to keep her, but he couldn't figure out how to reconcile all of this.
So, Todd believes, Dean tried something new. Alex would later tell police she was in the bathroom when she heard what sounded like a crash. She went to the bedroom and found Dean on the floor. An autopsy would show Dean had a fatal mix of heroin, painkillers, and alcohol in his system.
I'm convinced that what happened was Dean was trying to reach a connection with Alex on a deeper level, and he thought that if they could share this thing that she was so attached to, that she couldn't let go of no matter what, that they could actually be together. And that's what he wanted more than anything in life.
Following Dean's death, Alex text messages Todd. Why did Dean have to die? Her mother is coming and will move her to California, to the family's new home 2 hours outside San Francisco. But Alex is trying to detox and tells Todd she's worried.
I know that city well, like the Tenderloin where I used to live, is the third biggest open drug market in the U.S. It takes 2 minutes to score and you don't have to know anyone. You can see why I'm worried.
Around October 30th, 2013, Alex arrived in California. She immediately went back online and started advertising herself, texting Todd.
Guys out here got mad money.
And within days, she had a prospect. She was about to come into serious cash.
This is on the 2nd of November. And she says, an amazing guy found her, and he's the real deal. Tomorrow she's going to go to his boat, and for a few hours he's giving her $400 to $500 cash. Then a check for $2,000. Now I'm relatively certain that the guy on the boat she's referring to was Forrest.
3 weeks later, on November 22nd, Alex Tickleman was definitely with Forrest Hayes on his boat, where Todd believes she was simply making money to feed her addiction.
Tell me one thing that happened on that yacht that was not absolutely consensual between two adults. Nothing.
Called the matter of People versus Alex Tickleman.
On May 19, 2015, Alex Tickleman is back in court to have a date set for her trial. She's been in jail for almost a year, her past modeling life a distant memory. She faces almost 20 years behind bars, charged in the killing of Forrest Hayes, along with drug possession and prostitution.
So stipulated, counsel? Stipulated.
Her public defenders, Jerry Christensen and Larry Bigham, have insisted she is not a cold-blooded killer.
Alex Tickleman did nothing that Mr. Hayes did not want her to do. Two adults engaged in mutual and cooperative drug usage, and it went wrong, but it was an accident.
Defense attorneys say Hayes was an eager participant that night, even using his own cell phone light to show Alex where to inject him. And they are adamant she then simply panicked.
Everything about this video indicates accident and panic. Everything about it.
For months, they have investigated Forrest Hayes' past, asking prosecutors to hand over video from the escape's cameras as far back as 6 months before he died.
We have some indications from other material that there may have been previous encounters on the boat. It would be highly relevant in regard to whether or not there is drug usage along with sex.
But at the hearing, there's a bombshell. With her parents watching, Alex Tickleman pleads guilty.
What is your plea to count 1, a violation of Penal Code Section 192B as a felony? It's involuntary manslaughter.
Guilty. Guilty to involuntary manslaughter, as well as the lesser charges.
Do you understand that if you plead no contest or guilty, you're admitting 2 felonies and 5 misdemeanors?
Yes. And through her lawyer, she apologizes to the Hayes family.
This was in no form intentional, malicious, or anything of that sort. It was accident and panic, and she's so sorry for it.
Ms. Tickleman, the total will be 6 years to be served pursuant to Penal Code Section.
Tickleman was sentenced to 6 years in a local jail. But with credit for her time served and a reduction by the judge, she will likely serve just a little over 2 years.
Good luck to you, Ms. Tickleman.
After the hearing, another stunning development.
There are 2 charges that were...
Prosecutor Rafael Vasquez says the family of Forrest Hayes told him they never wanted Alex Tickleman charged.
The family did not want this case to be filed. They would have been very happy if this case simply would have been dismissed. They were terrified about the prospect of this case going to trial.
The family, he said, did not want that video from Forrest's boat to ever be made public.
I can only imagine what further pain, what further humiliation they would endure if that video was released out into the public.
And what's more, he says, Alex was never a cold-blooded killer as described by law enforcement.
That was never depicted in that surveillance video.
In fact, the prosecutor agrees with defense attorneys that Alex was anything but callous when Forrest collapsed.
And the fact that she actually made some efforts to try to wake him up, hit him in the chest, smacking him in the face, holding him up, trying to lift him up, and then holding him, hugging him at one point, and then you can see her crying in one instance and yelling for him to wake up in another instance. That clearly shows somebody who appeared concerned at that time. And that certainly is inconsistent with somebody who acted with an obvious intent to kill.
But he says what she is guilty of is not doing enough.
She was the only one that can render help, and she neglected to do so. She failed to do so, and instead took liberties to destroy evidence and to make her getaway while leaving the man there to die.
In the end, one of Tickleman's attorneys, Athena Reese, says Alex's time in jail has been helping her turn her life around.
You know, she's clean and sober. She's closer with her family than ever, and I think she's really used this time to reflect.
But for the family of Forrest Hayes, there is no turning around, and they will have to try to put the scars of his actions behind them.
From this point on, the family no longer has to worry about the concern associated with all the scrutiny, all the ridicule, and all the scorn that's been generated by a lot of the media attention in this case. This family has been through a lot.
I can only describe it as evil, something horrible.
From 48 Hours, this is Trained to Kill, the dog trainer, the heiress, and the bodyguard.
He couldn't control his obsession.
Who was the hunter and who was the hunted? Follow and listen on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, make a wish. Yay!
Lisa Buchanan was a very attractive young lady.
It's about love and friendship.
She was a very creative type.
Oh, honey, you look marvelous.
Very free-spirited.
Fabio, oh.
My name is Tara Bentley. I'm Lisa's older sister.
When I first saw her, I just saw her as a patient. And while she was waiting to see her dentist, she saw a sign saying free consultations. She walked in, she was wearing a ball cap, no makeup, with this incredible little smile in her bright blue eyes. There's something we saw in each other that we enjoyed.
They looked like a wonderful couple, but that really was a veneer that really hid what was really going on between the two of them.
It was her intention to put an end to their relationship that weekend.
The July 4th, 2005 weekend, certainly a weekend that you would think that folks would be out picnicking, going to fireworks, concerts. But they're holed up in Lisa's apartment having this sex marathon. I think he really liked the way that she reacted and responded when she was under the influence of drugs. The only time that she was experiencing these drugs was when he gave them to her.
She was addicted to Chris Coulis and their relationship. The drugs were certainly a part of that relationship.
He was injecting Lisa repeatedly with this concoction of oxycodone that was pulverized, ground up. The drugs were coursing through her veins. They caused her to collapse. Suddenly, Lisa stopped breathing.
I immediately began CPR and called 911.
911, what is the emergency? She's not breathing.
She wasn't breathing and there was no pulse.
Honey, breathe. Lisa.
I think that he is a predator. I think that he is a manipulator. I'm Eric Anderson. I'm the lead investigator in the case involving the death of Lisa Buchanan.
I didn't give Lisa any drugs. I loved her. They're looking for someone to blame.
He wanted her under his control. And when you're a doctor and you want control, you just have tools at your disposal that other people don't have.
Addicted to Love, tonight's 48 Hours Mystery. When police were called to Lisa Buchanan's apartment in Franklin, Tennessee,
straight ahead is the living room kitchen area.
They were surprised by what they found in this quiet, gated community. A cache of prescription drugs and sex toys.
They found needles. They found a lot of syringes.
Lisa and Chris Koulis had spent most of that final July 4th weekend of 2005 in her bedroom.
They stayed in that apartment that weekend, engaged in this marathon sex session. There was so much evidence to collect. It was a massive undertaking.
Most crucial, say detectives, was the discovery of used syringes with traces of oxycodone. Oxycodone is a powerful narcotic used to kill pain. It can be a very addictive and dangerous drug. Abusers like the calming euphoria it creates. The high is immediate and potent.
It's a controlled substance. It's something you can only get from a prescribing physician. You can't just buy it.
But when Lisa was rushed to the emergency room, the doctors trying to save her say Dr. Koulis told them nothing about the drugs she had been using. In fact, paramedics say Dr. Koulis claimed Lisa had collapsed after a trip to the swimming pool.
Chris was deceptive. He totally misled them. Chris stood there in that ER room, didn't tell them about the illegal drugs, didn't tell the ER staff what could have been crucial in saving her life.
I just wish that at some point she had realized how dangerous he was.
Tara Bentley believed her sister Lisa did not see Koulis as she did.
I think that the rest of us just felt that any day now she would realize who he was.
On paper, Koulis looked pretty good. He was a young, handsome plastic surgeon. He was a graduate of Vanderbilt University and had a thriving practice by the time he was 30. Lisa's mother, Peggy, was thrilled when her daughter met a doctor.
I thought finally she had met somebody that was going to make her very happy. Dr. Koulis was very charming, was extremely confident.
Koulis had served his internship at a Chicago hospital and loved working in the emergency room.
That was the most exciting for him because it was rescuing people from death.
It was in Nashville in the year 2000 that Koulis had that chance meeting with Lisa Buchanan. He became her boyfriend and her doctor.
You performed numerous procedures on her for free.
Oh, yes.
How many?
A redo breast augmentation, her eyelids, forehead, lip augmentation, liposuction, full face laser, Botox, collagen, the list goes on.
Koulis also helped Lisa pay the bills. She was struggling to make it as an actress and model. Even at a young age, Lisa Buchanan had big dreams for herself.
She was going to get on TV and she was going to be heard.
Lisa Buchanan, how are you?
She auditioned for soaps,
I heard about this General Hospital thing and I think I'd be really, really good.
tried out for TV shows.
I can do love scenes and I can do drama.
Her most recent pursuit was to develop a children's puppet show.
I do have quite a lovely singing voice, don't you think?
But things just never clicked for Lisa, professionally or personally.
No matter how beautiful she was or how beautiful people saw her, there was insecurity in her.
Before Koulis, Lisa had a string of failed relationships. She married young and divorced, but from that broken marriage came one of the best things in her life, her daughter Jessie.
She was so much fun. We were best friends. I could tell her anything. Anything.
Jessie was happy at first when her mother met Dr. Koulis.
We just moved into this big house and that was so cool. I got a huge room and my girlfriends came over and we had a huge big screen TV on the wall and I was cool.
But it wasn't long, says Jessie, before she noticed how controlling the doctor was.
Once I got to know him, I didn't really like him. He would always call her every 10 minutes, wanting to know where she was. He is like stalkerish, so protective in a creepy kind of way.
Lisa and Dr. Koulis were on again, off again for 5.5 years. According to her sister Tara, Lisa was just about to break things off again that final weekend.
You just had to hope that maybe this time it was really going to stick.
Tara had wondered if Lisa could ever break away. Lisa appeared locked in Koulis's grip, even though the couple spent much of the relationship apart. He lived and practiced in other cities and frequently called Lisa, accusing her of seeing other men.
There were times that she'd have to hand the phone to me so that I could tell him she's with me. He wouldn't trust it. He, over the years, cut her off from all her friends, alienating all her friends because of jealousy on his part.
And there was something else that concerned Lisa's family.
Lisa was becoming ill more frequently.
In fact, her family believes that Dr. Koulis would convince Lisa she was sick and that he alone could fix her.
In one conversation, he could absolutely convince her that the world was coming to an end, but at the same time, he was going to save her from it.
Did you ever see Chris Koulis give your mother drugs?
Yes.
Jessie has a vivid childhood memory of seeing Koulis inject her mother with an unknown drug.
She fainted and I started screaming, "Mommy." He shut the bathroom door and started banging on the door and he wouldn't let me see her.
You saw him administer a shot to her?
Mm-hmm. I'll never forget it.
Investigators now believe it was Koulis who introduced Lisa to the idea of using drugs to enhance their sexual encounters.
I don't think that there's a shred of evidence or proof that she was a drug addict.
Anderson, like Lisa's family, believes she only used drugs when Dr. Koulis gave them to her. But Koulis claims he knew Lisa better than anyone. And like it or not, he says she was a drug addict.
She had certain demons, just like we all do. And one of them was drug abuse.
Koulis says Lisa hid her IV drug use by injecting herself in concealed areas of the body, like her groin.
It's a favorite spot of people that want to conceal it.
But detectives aren't buying it. After a 5-month-long investigation, Chris Koulis is arrested and charged with murder. They say he supplied the drugs, he injected her, and he is responsible for Lisa Buchanan's death.
I do believe that he gave her at least one injection, if not multiple injections, and he is absolutely responsible for her death.
It's been extremely traumatic. I am quite concerned as to what is going to happen.
Charged with killing his girlfriend, Lisa Buchanan, Chris Koulis faces the possibility of spending the next 25 years in prison. But he says he's innocent.
Did you kill Lisa Buchanan?
Absolutely not.
The autopsy concluded that Lisa died of an overdose of oxycodone. During the search of her apartment, detectives found only one mostly intact oxycodone pill, but the used syringes contained crush pills and liquid mixed into a slush. Prosecutors say Lisa was injected with that slush at least 3 times that weekend. And in Koulis's travel bag, detectives found an unopened 18-gauge needle, the same kind that had been used.
That piece of evidence is extremely incriminating.
Chris Koulis is accused not only of injecting Lisa Buchanan with the drugs, but of supplying them as well. Despite his denials, he's about to be put on trial, facing 4 charges, ranging from simple assault to second-degree murder.
Be seated. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning, sir.
Is the state ready to proceed?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Kim Halper is prosecuting Dr. Koulis.
The evidence supports the fact that it was this defendant who was injecting Lisa Buchanan with that oxycodone mixture.
Lee Hoffman is defending the doctor.
So what does the evidence show? It shows he didn't do it. From the facts, I could not see how he could be convicted of anything.
But prosecutors are convinced they have a strong circumstantial case, thanks in part to this small video cassette detectives found in Lisa's apartment.
They had videotaped these sex acts all weekend long.
It documents the final hours of Lisa's life and provides clues to her death. The tape is disturbingly graphic, and in some scenes, Lisa seems barely conscious. So the jurors from this fairly religious and conservative southern city must sit through a screening of the entire 2 hours of the sex tape in open court.
It's extraordinarily embarrassing. This was never intended to be seen by anybody else, but for Lisa and I, and then to be destroyed.
Your bed looks perfect. That video clearly showed she enjoyed what she was doing. She participated willingly.
Koulis's attorneys believe the tape is more damaging to Lisa than to their client.
I think the prosecution made a mistake in trying to portray her as just a victim with no fault, because clearly she was not.
But prosecutors are convinced Koulis injected Lisa with drugs to control and dominate her.
You can see in the background on occasion where there is a needle laying on the carpet.
The tape does not show who gave Lisa the injections, but it does show Lisa holding gauze against her groin, covering fresh injection marks. Incriminating evidence, prosecutors say, against Koulis.
The evidence on the video clearly shows Chris Koulis being aware of those pads and the presence of syringes.
On the tape, Koulis can be heard telling Lisa to apply pressure to the area to stop some bleeding.
It was being portrayed as proof that I gave Lisa narcotics. In fact, it did not show that at all.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that will conclude everything for today.
Koulis maintains Lisa injected herself in the groin that weekend.
It's quite easy.
It is.
Absolutely.
Not so, according to Tennessee's chief state medical examiner, Dr. Bruce Levy.
When you see a series of injections in a nice straight line like that, you know that it had to have been done to her.
He feels quite strongly that the injections in her groin were made by an expert, like a doctor.
If you're off by as much as a half of an inch, it can be deadly.
And making it even more difficult for Lisa to inject herself, says Levy, is the fact that she was impaired by drugs at the time.
I think it was very clear evidence that Dr. Koulis was responsible for the injection. There's just no other alternative that makes sense.
To bolster that claim, Lisa's family points to this picture they say was taken just days before her death.
There was not a mark on her body, and there was not a sign of drug use in her behavior, her attitude, nothing. All week long. She was perfectly healthy.
The defense would call Dr. Chris Koulis to testify on his own behalf.
All right, Dr. Koulis, if you come around, please, sir.
Chris Koulis and his attorneys believe he has no choice but to take the stand to defend himself.
Will be the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please proceed.
He tells the jury that he tried repeatedly to get Lisa to stop abusing drugs.
Lisa promised she'd stop. She'd go up and down. She'd stop, she'd start, she'd stop, she'd start. I told her, do you have to do that? And then I told her, I know you want to, but I don't want you to. You're going to kill yourself. We've talked about this.
Why didn't you just leave?
Aside the fact I'm an idiot, because I loved her and I wanted to be with her. I wanted to be with her.
And so, to make her happy, you looked the other way.
I was unable to stop her one way or the other. She wanted to get high, and she was going to get high. What precisely was I supposed to do? Tackle her?
Prosecutor Kim Halper doesn't believe Koulis. She confronts him about his callous behavior that weekend.
Well, you've just said that in this case, Lisa was laying back because she became high, correct?
In this case, she laid back. Yes, ma'am.
So she wasn't walking around.
No.
She wasn't alert.
She was impaired.
But you went ahead and had sex with her anyway, didn't you, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
In fact, the doctor repeatedly had sex with Lisa even though she had complained of shoulder and chest pain that weekend, symptoms that Koulis concedes could have signaled a heart attack.
Lisa had a very bad headache. She was also complaining of shoulder pain and left arm pain. And she was having palpitations. Her heart was beating rapidly.
But you continued to have sex with her.
Because she said everything went away. She felt fine.
It's a woman you love, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it a fair assessment to say that you were thinking about yourself on that day?
I was.
And you were not thinking about Lisa, were you?
I was thinking about myself, yes.
That may not have been the only time Koulis was just thinking about himself. Prosecutors are about to introduce details of a previous incident, one in which Koulis has freely admitted injecting Lisa Buchanan with addictive drugs. Prosecutors firmly believe Chris Koulis killed Lisa Buchanan that lost weekend, and they say it isn't the first time he put her life in danger.
I think it's extremely relevant and important for a jury to understand that in the past, it has been his habit to inject her with drugs.
Kim Halper points to an incident back in 2002 that was eerily similar. At the time, Lisa and Koulis were briefly living together in Kentucky.
I was going through a very difficult time financially. Things were falling apart. And one day, there was Demerol that was left over. And I had the really bad idea to try it. And I did. And I was probably instantly addicted to it.
Dr. Koulis says he was shooting up frequently.
Where'd you get the Demerol?
It was from my office. I had a surgical center.
So you stole it from your office?
It's from my office.
And in the midst of his own downward spiral, Koulis admits he got Lisa addicted as well.
When she asked me for it, I gave it to her. I was impaired at the time. I realized, as did some certain friends of mine, that this couldn't continue. That I was not myself, I was not as productive, and I realized that I needed help.
Things got so bad that Koulis's parents intervened and came to take him to rehab. Lisa stayed behind.
Someone called me and said that I needed to go check on her.
Lisa's mother, Peggy, says she will never forget the condition in which she found her daughter.
It was the most horrific sight I've ever seen in my life. Bottles, syringes, blood on the floor. They had her on a mattress. She was completely incoherent. It was horrific.
Peggy says she and a friend quickly scooped up some of the drugs and rushed Lisa to the hospital.
I mean, she had injection sores on her body that were that big around.
Right over here on our left is where Lisa and Chris Koulis lived in 2002.
Bobby Pate at the Boone County Sheriff's Office was assigned to investigate.
She was injected in both hands, in the arms, the groin area, and in the feet. They were infected, and her hands and feet were probably about twice the size as normal.
Pate met with Lisa at the hospital and says she accused Koulis of injecting her against her will.
There was times where he chased her around the room to get her a shot when she didn't want one, and that he called her a hypochondriac because she was complaining about the infections, the sores and stuff, and he shot her up some more.
She stated that Chris said that this was just do it for fun. It would enhance the sexual pleasure. Let's do this for fun. Let's just do this for fun.
At his trial, prosecutor Kim Helper confronts the doctor about the earlier Kentucky incident.
She was in pretty bad shape when you left, is that true?
No, ma'am. She was walking, talking, and lucid. We had breakfast. She said goodbye to me at the door. I didn't just leave her in the basement and leave. That's a mischaracterization.
Maybe so, but Kentucky authorities arrested him anyway on several serious charges, including drug trafficking.
Lisa Buchanan was our star witness in the case.
Lisa gave authorities this handwritten letter she received from Dr. Koulis after he entered rehab. In it, he takes the full blame for getting her hooked on painkillers, supplying them, injecting her, and admitting she had no prior history of drug abuse before they met. But it wasn't enough to convict him.
He hurt Lisa in 2002, and, he got away with it.
Lisa's family believes he got away with it because he scared her out of testifying against him. They said he convinced her she was also in trouble and could lose custody of her daughter.
Chris just absolutely convinced her that she could lose Jessie and that the police were lying to her, that the DA was lying to her, and no matter what, she just believed him. I think the fear was so real.
Koulis denies he made any threats, but Lisa stopped cooperating, and the case against him collapsed. Koulis ended up pleading guilty to just one of the 20 drug charges and was given probation, no prison time. And within a short period, he was back to practicing medicine again.
What happened in 2002? That was horrific. We went to hell and back. She did, and I did.
But despite that hell, Lisa could not let go of Chris Koulis. For her family, it was difficult to accept.
You don't understand why she was listening to him. There aren't words because you don't understand it.
You're the one that injected her first, true?
Yes, sir, I did.
In court, Dr. Koulis accepts blame for introducing Lisa to illegal drug use.
You're a doctor. What were you thinking?
What I was thinking? I was wrong. I shouldn't have done it. I should have done it to me, and I should certainly, sure as hell not have done it to her. I was responsible. I felt responsible.
If he appeared contrite when speaking to the jurors, it was a different Chris Koulis who spoke to us later, blaming Lisa Buchanan for her own drug problems.
Did you get her addicted to drugs?
I provided her, I made it available to her.
Did you get her addicted to drugs?
I think the choice of addiction is her own. When I recognized that I was addicted, I got help. I got her help. From that point on, all bets are off.
Did you realize how addictive this drug was the first time you used it?
Absolutely.
And you introduced this to your girlfriend. You provided the drugs to her. You gave her the syringes.
I was wrong in doing so.
And you're saying that it was her responsibility to get clean?
Yes, it is her responsibility to stay clean. I don't think I bear responsibility for her death.
Guilty or not,
Call Dr. Graham.
Koulis's lawyers are hoping to throw a huge wrench into the case with experts who will testify that it was not a drug overdose that killed Lisa Buchanan after all. An early fall morning in Franklin, Tennessee, as most of the city's police force proudly gathers for a group photograph. It's a department that may be unaccustomed to the attack it's facing from Chris Koulis's attorneys.
We realized that they were going to hold us under a microscope and look to exploit anything that wasn't absolutely 100% perfect.
Defense lawyers are highly critical of what they consider sloppy police work, even suggesting that detectives failed to properly isolate Lisa's apartment, the crime scene.
How do you know that those items that you say were in that apartment, they hadn't been moved around?
Detective Anderson bristles at the question, saying the apartment was secured almost immediately.
The locks were changed. No one had access. The apartment was secure from that point on, unless, well...
Unless what?
Unless your client broke in to the apartment, then the apartment was secured.
But mistakes were made, like losing evidence. Medicine bottles from Lisa's apartment that detectives forgot to take from the hospital the day she died.
We had been going several hours into days in this investigation, so it had slipped our mind at that time to go get those pills, and when we finally realized we needed to go back and get those pill bottles, by the time we went back there, the hospital had already destroyed it.
Slipped your mind?
An even bigger problem for prosecutors is a defense challenge to the very heart of this case. What killed Lisa Buchanan?
If she did take the oxycodone, that's not what killed her.
Dr. Michael Graham, a forensic pathologist and medical examiner, testifies for the defense that the drug didn't kill her, the filler did. That's the powdery material used to give shape and form to the pills when they're made.
It was the filler, and then the reaction to that filler is what I think tipped her over the edge.
Drug abusers crush pills, mix them with liquid, and inject them into their veins for a quicker high. But Graham explains that over time, tiny particles of crushed filler can build up and clog blood vessels in the lungs. And that, he says, is exactly what happened to Lisa Buchanan.
Injecting crushed up pills over a long period of time caused her death suddenly.
She was so plugged up that it stopped the heart, and she died of a heart attack. You don't get that from an occasional use. It took months to years to form those things. It came from Lisa injecting herself when he wasn't around.
But prosecutors argue the defense theory of what killed Lisa is only partially true. That in fact it was both the filler and the narcotic working together that caused her death.
The filler was impacting the lungs. The oxycodone was suppressing some of her breathing mechanism. And I would suggest to you that the evidence fully supports the state's assertion that Lisa Buchanan died at the hands of this defendant.
There's no proof he did it. And because of that, you just got to find him not guilty.
As the case goes to the jury, Lisa's family is concerned over what the verdict may be.
We hope he's convicted. And there's nothing he can say to me. There's nothing he can say to that court. There's nothing he can say to my family to change what's happened.
So, Dr. Koulis is left to wait, facing the possibility of spending his next 25 years in prison. Left unanswered is the question of how an ambitious young doctor, a plastic surgeon, ended up here.
Dr. Koulis is an extremely intelligent person. He went into medical school at age 19, if that tells you something. All he did was work, work, work. So Dr. Koulis never had the time to enjoy his youth. His immaturity caught up with him.
So he was in the middle of an extended adolescence when he met Lisa Buchanan.
I don't think he ever matured.
Standing trial for murdering his girlfriend, though, may be very sobering. And Lisa's family hopes the jury holds Koulis responsible for her death.
It is just my prayer, and it has always been my prayer, that he can never do this to anyone else.
over the course of a number of months or years, Lisa did something which caused her significant internal damage. And ultimately, that's why she died. And that would have happened, I believe, whether I was there, or a day later, or a week later, or a month later. She's responsible for her own actions, just as I am.
Ladies and gentlemen, this does conclude the instructions and the closing arguments. It is time for you to take this case and make your decision.
They began deliberations about 9:15 this morning here at the courthouse.
Nearly 2 weeks after the trial began, the jury begins deliberating in the Lisa Buchanan murder case.
It is tense, everybody right now waiting.
It's been a challenge for prosecutors who've had only circumstantial evidence to rely on.
Do you think you'll win a conviction?
I would like to think so, but I think I've been around long enough to know that when it gets into the hands of the jury, you just can't predict.
Jurors have 4 charges to consider, ranging from simple assault to second-degree murder.
You are so beautiful.
The wild card is there's no telling how jurors will react to the sex video.
Oh my God.
But prosecutor Kim Halper felt she had no choice.
The evidence on the tape from the state's perspective was too important to not show it.
They say they want to see Exhibit 203, 212, and 213. That is the videotape.
In fact, just 1 hour into the deliberations, the jurors request to see the video again.
We're just hoping and praying that they understand that this man is guilty.
Because of the chemistry between the two and the drug use, it was just destined for something terrible to happen. It was just a fatal attraction.
All right.
The jurors take less than a day to reach a verdict. The courtroom is tense as each charge is read.
As to count 1 of the indictment on the charge of second-degree murder, what say you?
Not guilty.
As to count 2 of the indictment on the charge of reckless homicide, what say you?
Not guilty.
As to the charge of criminally negligent homicide, what say you?
Guilty.
Very well. That shall end your deliberations.
Guilty, but not of murder. Lisa Buchanan's family is devastated. Koulis now faces just months in prison instead of years. Lisa's daughter, Jessie, runs from the courtroom in tears.
I was really upset. Almost more upset than the night when I found out, like, she passed away.
What was hardest was hearing the same cries from Jessie that I had to hear the night her mom died.
For Koulis and his attorneys, the verdict is welcome news, even with the felony conviction.
I'm relieved that it's over. I accept the verdict of the jury. It's a tragedy Lisa died. Should never have happened.
Did the jury conclude that Chris Koulis bears some responsibility for Lisa Buchanan's death?
With the finding of criminally negligent homicide, they are saying that as a doctor, he should have done more to prevent her from killing herself.
Not according to the jurors we spoke with.
I agree with
They told us they didn't buy the doctor's testimony or his innocence, but felt there just wasn't any hard evidence to convict him of murder.
A good majority of us thought that he probably did the injection, but we couldn't. There's no way to know for sure. They couldn't prove that he directly acted to kill her.
You still maintain that Chris Koulis killed Lisa Buchanan?
Yes, sir. And I think the jury agreed with me. And quite frankly, we just didn't have a photo putting Chris Koulis with a needle in his hand injecting Lisa Buchanan.
Court finds the defendant's testimony to be lacking in credibility.
At sentencing, Judge Jeff Bivens showed little sympathy for Koulis.
While the court is mindful of the fact that the victim, Ms. Buchanan, was in many ways a knowing and willing participant in the activities of that tragic weekend, that does not diminish the defendant's criminal conduct and culpability.
He sentences Koulis to 2 years in prison, the maximum sentence allowed. But he's expected to serve less than half of that.
Can you do the time?
Can I do the time? Do I have a choice?
After he's sentenced, it's unclear just when the doctor will be imprisoned. He leaves the courtroom not in handcuffs, but on $500,000 bond paid by his parents to keep him free while his attorneys appeal the conviction. Koulis's limited sentence and the fact that he's free pending appeal is hard for daughter Jessie to accept.
I get mad. I tell myself that I've forgiven him because we were close. I mean, I lived with him and I've known him for so long too, but when the really hard days come, it's really hard to forgive him.
She even reached out, writing a very personal letter to Koulis.
Chris, I've been thinking about this letter for months. It's consumed me. What do I say to the man that took my mom away? It's been a long 2 years, and I still tell myself she's coming back. You know you're responsible for her death, and you think of me and my family. Try to imagine what we have been through and how much we miss her.
Lisa's sister, Tara.
In the end, this too shall pass, and someday he'll stand before God.
No one could have predicted the next bizarre twist in this story. 5 years after Lisa's death, and with his appeal still pending, Chris Koulis was found dead at a friend's apartment.
A former Nashville plastic surgeon convicted in the death of his model girlfriend has died.
Toxicology reports just released list the cause of death as bronchial pneumonia due to opiate intoxication, a drug overdose.
My duty to my client extends beyond his death.
Because Koulis's case was in appeal, his attorney David Rabin was able to get his 2007 conviction dropped by the state's Court of Criminal Appeals. However, the Attorney General's office is fighting to have that conviction reinstated.
Enough is enough. This case is over with. The conviction should be vacated and let Dr. Koulis rest in peace.
Dr. Chris Koulis never served 1 day of his sentence in jail.
There's no satisfaction. There's no real peace. There's no vengeance, there's no anger, there's no hate. Just, you're dealt a certain set of cards, and you just have to do what you can with them.
This is where it all began, right?
This is where it all began. April 23rd, 2018. I received the call that a body was located off of Highway 98. I come over to this area, and approximately here was about where the head of the body was at, and stretched out across the ditch with the feet facing in that direction. She had bruises from head to toe, covering her entire body. She had lacerations on her face, stomach, legs.
So this woman suffered before she died?
She suffered. I've never seen anything like it. It was extreme violence. extreme violence, overkill.
And who would do something like that?
At the time, you don't know. And what you worry about then is, are they loose in our community? What type of individual am I dealing with? Or individuals? Is there one person? Is there two? You have a million questions that you can ask, but you have no answers at the time. The next day, they identified the woman as Aileen Seiden, a young 31-year-old female in the Miami area.
I've known Aileen Seiden for 25 years. She was my best friend. Aileen had called me. She had told me it was pretty where she was. The last talk I had with Aileen was very different. She told me just these horrific things you never think you'll hear from your best friend. She said, I need your help.
It was like a movie. My sister's involved, and I don't know what's happening. I told her to run.
You used the word run? Did you say run?
100%. I said, run, get out of there. Go. She's like, I can't.
She was scared to death.
This doesn't happen. This doesn't happen to us. This doesn't happen in real life.
We received a call from the Sportsman's Lodge Motel. There was a room that they were in the process of cleaning. There was blood.
And what goes through your mind as you walk through all this beauty?
This right here would be the last place that you could ever imagine a homicide taking place, especially right here in this piece of paradise. I'll take you to room number 15.
Now, when the housekeepers first came through this door, what did they see?
They said the furniture was knocked over onto the floor. As they started cleaning the room, they found more and more stuff to be wrong. They noticed stuff missing from the beds, the sheets, anything like that. This bed here was completely covered in blood stain.
So that tells you there was a violent scene going on.
Yes.
And what happened in room 15?
It's unknown.
If these walls could talk, right?
Oh, if they could talk, I'd like to hear them.
Apalachicola, Florida is a wonderful small place.
For Franklin County Assistant Prosecutor Jared Patterson, the sleepy Gulf Coast town of Apalachicola and surrounding countryside are among the last remnants of a bygone era.
It certainly still harkens back to a time before there was condos on every inch of the beach and before there were high-rises. We're referred to here, the counties along this area of the coast, as the Forgotten Coast.
But when a couple heading to a nearby fishing pond discovered Aileen Seiden's battered body on April 23, 2018, Patterson wondered what had brought a killer to Florida's Forgotten Coast.
The horror that it really was. It absolutely shocked people.
It looked like someone was in a hurry. Whoever it was dumped the body and took off.
Lead investigator Lieutenant Ronnie Jones, then with the Franklin County Sheriff's Office, says documenting Aileen's unsettling dump site was the first of two ominous events over the next 24 hours. He was soon dispatched to the second crime scene at the Sportsman's Lodge Motel. And that bloody spectacle inside room 15.
So what's it like for you to be back in here?
Brings back some pretty bad memories.
Jones' memories live in stark contrast to the tree-shaded grounds of the otherwise peaceful motel.
As soon as I came in, I noticed the bed. I mean, you couldn't miss it. I mean, this whole area was covered and had blood stains on it.
And when you saw that kind of blood loss, what did that tell you?
I just put two and two together, and I automatically put that back to the body that was found the day before.
You did that quickly, like that?
Had to have. It wasn't just somebody cut themselves and bled a little bit on the bed. I mean, the amount of blood that was on this bed tells me that whoever was here was probably deceased.
Jones recalled there was a smell of vinegar in the room. And what did that tell you?
That someone attempted to clean the crime scene.
A luminol test for traces of human blood revealed what an apparently hasty cleanup couldn't hide.
The whole entire bathroom lit up.
So that was the scene of perhaps some of her most vicious attacks, was inside that bathroom?
Yes.
And Jones says the shower curtain rod was a possible weapon.
On the rod was located a palm print and also blood.
And that's significant evidence, right?
That's right.
Testing would soon confirm that it was Aileen's blood in the motel room. Now came the gut-wrenching duty to notify Aileen's sister, Francesca Seiden.
He said my sister was murdered. I don't know, like, what do? You look for support. That's all I could do. I didn't understand why, like, it was given to me, again, like, to handle another loss.
While growing up in Miami, then 16-year-old Francesca and 9-year-old Aileen faced their first tragedy when their beloved mother, Mirtha, passed away from cancer.
How did the two of you deal with this?
We didn't talk about it because it was so fast.
6 years later, their father, Frank, a successful furniture manufacturer who Francesca says shared a special bond with Aileen, suddenly died from a heart attack. It left Aileen, then 14, an orphan, and 22-year-old Francesca with a decision to make.
I signed the papers and I became her legal guardian.
And what did that mean? What were your responsibilities?
I became a parent. I had to take her to school. I had to pick her up from school. I had to finish my own school. I was working. I didn't have time to grieve. And I don't think that she did either.
7 years later, Francesca moved to Los Angeles on her own. That's when she says Aileen, now in her 20s, began grieving their parents.
She started to think a lot. She became more sensitive.
Something like losing your parents has long-lasting effects throughout your life. It's obvious that it did.
This is Aileen's best friend. Not wanting her name associated with this case, she has asked 48 Hours to refer to her as Allie. She remembers a strong and determined Aileen making it on her own in Miami.
She worked as a property manager. She lived in a great apartment. You know, she paid her own rent. She made her bills. She was very independent.
Francesca saw that independence firsthand when Aileen made an extended visit to LA in 2016.
Looking back, do you wish she had stayed with you?
100%. Because whatever happened when she went back to Miami is when she reconnected with Zach.
Zach was Zachary Abel, who Aileen had known since they were teenagers.
I'm not sure if I had the best reputation in high school. At first, she wasn't really sure about him.
But years later, she and Zach Abel started dating.
I think in the beginning, Aileen found Zach fun, but I think it changed pretty quickly.
Investigators in Franklin County would soon learn all about Zach Abel. They discovered that Zach, Aileen, and this woman, Christina Araujo, had all been seen in the Apalachicola area. Detectives also learned the three shared a room at the Sportsman's Lodge, room number 15.
We needed to know what happened inside that hotel room. Outside of 3 people entered and 2 came out carrying a body.
Off the coast of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Captain Mike Pickavet set sail on his 50-foot boat.
It's kind of weird trying to remember any good times. There just weren't. There was always some issue.
Back in 2018, Mike would play a central role in Aileen Seiden's murder investigation. He knew Aileen and her boyfriend, Zach Abel, well.
Zach is just very entertaining. He's very extroverted.
Mike had met Zach by chance at a bar about 7 years earlier.
He came up to me at Duffy's and said, "Hey, I like your shirt." And I'm like, "Okay."
Then Christina came up.
Christina Araujo, Zach's girlfriend at the time. The two had been dating for about 4 years. Mike says Christina immediately started boasting about her powerful father.
Right out of the gate, she said, "Oh yeah, my dad's a major with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Department, and if we ever get into any trouble with the law, he can take care of it." I was like, "What? Who says that?"
Despite their odd first meeting, Mike says he began hanging out with the couple. What followed were years of wild nights, wild parties, and lots of heavy drinking.
That was their go-to thing. "Okay, we've got to do shots of this, shots of this."
But Mike says there was an interesting power dynamic in the couple's relationship, with Christina, who is 8 years older than Zach, calling the shots.
She was very controlling and very directing. He would follow her lead with stuff.
One day in 2016, Zach stopped by Mike's boat, but not with Christina. Instead, Zach introduced Mike to Aileen Seiden. Mike could tell Zach now had 2 women in his life.
It was the weirdest thing. If your relationship's not working, just end it and move on.
However, Mike says that Zach couldn't make a clean break from Christina, who was also his business partner.
He tried so many times, he just didn't know how to. And then also all the threats all the time that she could make him disappear. Every time she got drunk, she'd say some weird things.
Aileen's best friend, Allie, says Zach and Aileen began to secretly date.
She seemed to love him so much that she was still hoping that he would, decide to be with her. He would lead her on to think he was trying to end it with Christina.
In 2017, Aileen unexpectedly lost her job as a property manager.
She was really starting to lose control of her own life.
Allie says that may explain why Aileen eventually started working at Zach and Christina's used car dealership.
It wasn't the independent life that she had always lived.
Allie says Aileen continued to pressure Zach to break up with Christina for good. But when Zach finally tried to end things with Christina, she countered with an unconventional proposal.
It was not the answer that anyone expected. Christina came back and said, "Well, why don't we try and all be in a relationship then?" It now became this opportunity for this throuple, 3-way kind of relationship.
A throuple is a romantic relationship among 3 people. Allie says Aileen was against the idea.
And Aileen said, "Absolutely not. There's no way. It's never going to work." And there was kind of a crickets for a few weeks.
But Allie says Aileen later changed her mind. The trio was now a throuple.
I was in shock, really, but also a little bit happy for them that maybe this could work.
But it didn't work. Before long, there was trouble.
This whole dynamic started to change where one of them always seemed to be the odd man out or was jealous. At that point, it just started to spiral out of control.
According to Mike Pickavet, things escalated, leading to irrational behavior and fights fueled by alcohol. He says Aileen and Christina traded punches often, usually resulting in black eyes on one or both of the women, that they'd sometimes hide behind big sunglasses.
It was an everyday thing, every second day thing, I could say.
Allie remembers things differently. She says Zach was the main aggressor in the relationship.
Aileen would call me and say, "You have to come over here, like he hurt me again." And I'd rush over there and photograph her and beg her to go to the police.
But Allie says Aileen refused, fearing Christina's law enforcement connections would work against her. Aileen's sister Francesca was furious when she learned of the abuse.
I wanted my sister out of this situation. I wanted her out.
It's hard to leave.
It's hard to leave, and I had this feeling that Christina was more violent of the two.
It was really difficult to see her going through a time like this. It was just so hard, and she was scared to death.
Once, Allie says the abuse got so bad, she took Aileen to the emergency room.
I took her to the hospital because they have to report things, but she wouldn't say where the bruises came from.
Aileen's best friend had to deliver a hard truth.
Aileen, you have to break up with this guy. Someone's gonna end up dead. When Aileen was in real trouble, it was hard to get anyone to come rescue her.
The path that led to Aileen Seiden's murder may have begun weeks earlier. In 2018, Allie was surprised that despite the physical violence in their relationship, Aileen had decided to move in with Zach Abel and Christina Araujo. The throuple was now working together, sleeping together, and living together.
Aileen was trapped in the relationship because she was trapped financially, but she felt that that was one last chance to make it work. It was like a 1 month or 2 month trial.
But within a few weeks, Allie says Aileen had had enough.
Aileen was just going to move out. She was really done with the relationship.
But Aileen's plans to leave were halted on April 7th, 2018, after Zach and Christina had gotten into a violent fight. Allie says she got a call from Aileen on Zach's phone.
She was going to leave and get Zach out of the house, but like to go to a coffee shop. The next call I got was from Christina. She was angry and furious.
Allie says Christina threatened to report the car Aileen and Zach were driving in as stolen in an apparent attempt to keep them from leaving her behind. Allie immediately warned Aileen and Zach.
Instead of coming around and coming back like I thought they would, they hit the gas and went to Georgia. I said, "What are you doing, Aileen? You don't have your phone. You don't have a wallet. This is crazy." She said, "We're going on a road trip. This is a good thing."
But the road trip wasn't a good thing to Christina Araujo. She began harassing Zach and Aileen, sending a storm of angry texts. "You two deserve each other." Christina sent more than 150 texts in roughly 24 hours. All went unanswered, including this one. "My dad will be calling you." Later, Christina issued this threat. "You effed me over, and now I'm effing you over."
I was just trying to tell her, Christina, why don't you worry about your own life?
About 48 hours into the road trip, Zach and Aileen were heading to Texas, and Christina seemed to have a change of heart, texting, "If you want to come back home, come back. You never have to question my love." For reasons that are unknown, instead of coming home, Zach invited Christina to join them, and she flew to Dallas. But with the throuple united, the old problems returned.
Aileen started to call me from Zach's phone at night saying, "This is getting bad." And I don't know what to do. It wasn't until Christina arrived that started to happen. I was really worried someone would get hurt.
By day 10 of the road trip, Aileen's older sister, Francesca, was also worried. She hadn't heard from Aileen in a while. When the trio stopped in New Orleans, Aileen finally called Francesca and shared an alarming suspicion.
She's like, "I think they're gonna kill me." No joke. So I was like, "Aileen, run to the nearest gas station, go tell the person."
Call 911.
Yeah, run to I said, "Run, get out of there, go." She's like, "I can't."
Francesca, desperate to help, tried to get more details from Aileen.
If I had where the address was, I would have called the police then and there. But she had to go. She had to get off, and she hung up. I was extremely frustrated, but I was scared.
With no way to help her sister, Francesca hoped Aileen would stay safe. The road trip continued into its second week. The trio then headed to Panama City, Florida, but a missed exit led them to the forgotten coast.
The road trip It's difficult to understand, partying one day and murdering the next.
David Adlerstein is a reporter for the Apalachicola Times, one of the oldest newspapers in Florida.
I've been covering the Aileen Seiden case since the week it happened.
On the evening of April 21st, the trio, seen here in this screenshot from surveillance footage, stumbled into the quiet peace of Franklin County.
They went to a popular restaurant, the Red Pirate, played miniature golf, partied.
At the recommendation of a local, the throuple headed to the nearby Sportsman's Lodge Motel. They reserved the last vacancy of the night, room 15. The next morning, on April 22nd, 2018, the throuple made a plan.
They decided they'd spend another day there, not get back on the road, and make it a party. So they got up in the morning and went to the liquor store.
Here they are in these screenshots from the store's surveillance footage. While there, the trio purchased large bottles of vodka and Fireball whiskey.
When I went to investigate their path that day and went to the liquor store, the clerk, she pointed out that the Fireball that they bought was the largest bottle you could buy. And this is just the three of them.
The throuple then returned to the Sportsman's Lodge Motel.
I don't think Aileen was having fun. I think she was just trying to maybe get by and stay alive.
Allie says she spoke to Aileen that day.
Aileen said, I need to leave him. I'm telling you, I'm like a sex slave. He has this really scary look in his eye. It's very scary. It's different. And she said, I need your help.
Allie says the two friends had crafted an escape plan. Aileen would get on a bus from Tampa, the trio's next destination.
I bought her a Greyhound ticket because she didn't have a wallet.
The bus would drop Aileen off near Miami, and Allie would take her home. Aileen just needed to get on that bus, and she'd be safe.
And then, I never heard back. I never heard anything after that.
The next night, hundreds of miles away in Fort Lauderdale, Mike Picavet was home and alone. There was a knock at the door. It was Christina Araujo and Zach Abel.
I was like, okay, where's Aileen? And right away, Christina says, oh, she ran away. And I said, bull. I said, where is she? And Zach right away started to choke up and he said, she's dead.
The news was shocking enough, but Mike says once Christina was out of earshot, Zach told him what happened.
He said Christina killed her. He woke up, she was dead next to him, and he tried to give her CPR. Then wanted to call 911. Christina said no and told him you can't call 911. For some reason, he kept on saying he had to protect Christina. I'm like, what do you got to protect her for?
Mike says he wanted to protect both of his friends. He feared a violent outcome if he called 911.
I didn't want them to get killed. I just wanted to make sure that they were brought in a safe way. And the only thing that I could think about is to go talk to her father.
Christina's father, Colonel Tony Araujo, the one Mike says Christina had always bragged could make her problems go away. When Zach and Christina fell asleep, Mike took this photo and says he went online to search for Christina's father, a man he had never met.
So I was panicking, trying to find his phone number.
When Mike finally got a hold of Colonel Araujo, he didn't immediately reveal the deadly news.
I said, I got to talk to you. It's about Christina. It's very important.
Mike says Christina's father directed Mike to meet him at an odd place, a gas station.
So I went up there. I said, Christina killed somebody. And he says, you know I'm a cop, right? I'm like, yes, sir, I do. He right away said, wait right there.
Mike says Christina's father then brought him to the sheriff's office to make a formal statement.
He did what was the right thing to do. He got two other people to ask me all the questions.
Later that day, Mike was shown a photo, and he was the one to identify the battered body of Aileen Seiden. With that confirmation, police descended on Mike's home as Zach and Christina were about to leave. They were arrested. and brought back to Franklin County. The pair were later charged with first-degree murder. It would take almost 6 years before Zach Abel and Christina Araujo would face a jury, and by then, only one of them would stand trial.
You're healing, you're doing the things that you need to heal, and then you're stopped.
For almost 6 years, Francesca Seiden lived in agonizing limbo as her sister Aileen's case, complicated by having 2 defendants, face delay after frustrating delay.
And now you're gonna get ready for this big moment, and it stops again.
Finally, in January of 2024, at the Franklin County Courthouse in Apalachicola, Florida, Zach Abel was about to face trial. He had pleaded not guilty to first-degree murder and would stand before the jury alone. 8 months earlier, Christina Araujo took a plea deal for a lesser charge of second-degree murder.
So she admitted taking part in this?
Yes. She implicated herself in the actual beating of Aileen.
After studying the mountain of evidence, prosecutor Jared Patterson believes Zach Abel was more responsible in Aileen's murder, and the state is relying on the jury believing Christina Araujo's version of what happened inside room 15.
The only one who has told us anything about what happened in that room is Christina Araujo.
Once Christina made her plea deal, she would become the prosecution's star witness.
Print reporter David Adlerstein, camera in hand, was there as Christina Araujo transported the courtroom back to the evening of April 22nd, 2018. Araujo testified that she, Zach Abel, and Aileen were relaxing in the room at the Sportsman's Lodge after a day of heavy drinking.
When Zach drinks, does he act differently?
Yes. He becomes very aggressive, very mean.
Zach Abel became violently enraged, says Araujo, when Aileen posed a seemingly innocent question.
She said, "Christina, guess what?"
And she looks over at Christina and says, "Hey, Christina, guess what?" How would that sentence be finished?
I have no idea because she never got to finish it.
Zachary got up immediately and went over to her and was in her face, hitting her. He's just yelling at her, telling her, "You always start problems."
Araujo admits to also hitting Aileen as she demanded to know what she was about to say. She never got an answer.
And I got so frustrated, I left the room.
After stepping outside room 15 for a few minutes, Araujo claims she returned to find Abel and Aileen in the bathroom.
When I opened the door, he had something white in his hand, like if he was poking at her.
The medical examiner was able to identify small circular bruising to the body of Aileen that could be consistent with a shower curtain rod.
Like the shower curtain rod investigators recovered that had palm print impressions in Aileen's blood.
Whose palm was it?
The palm print belonged to Zachary Abel.
The assault continued near the bed, says Araujo, where she says Abel reached for his wooden walking stick.
He hits her several times with it. When he hit her in the back, though, the stick broke.
We had actually found pieces of that wooden staff in the hotel room. We didn't realize the significance of it until we found the other piece in the vehicle that contained our victim's DNA.
Araujo says she watched in terror as Abel began using that stick to sexually assault Aileen.
Christina's description of the crime was horrifying to listen to. Aileen clearly suffered terrible death.
Adlerstein recalls the medical examiner saying Aileen's injuries reminded him of those he had seen in motor vehicle crashes.
As a reporter, I try very hard to not be emotional. I distinctly remember fighting back tears.
Araujo claims she eventually put herself between Abel and Aileen, and the attack finally stopped. Aileen was badly beaten, but still alive, she says, and the exhausted trio just fell asleep.
I didn't think she was going to die from it.
Araujo claims it wasn't until she woke up the next morning that she realized Aileen was dead. She says she only participated in the cover-up out of fear of what Abel might do to her.
She seemed to me genuinely remorseful. Others had different opinions.
Who is Christina Araujo in your book?
Manipulative, cunning, a chameleon. I think that there's evil in her.
Alex Morris is Zach Abel's attorney. He says Christina Araujo acted alone.
I believe that she is the murderer.
Let's talk about her story.
Morris says it was Christina Araujo who beat Aileen, and that photo taken by Mike Picavet at his home after the murder shows she had injuries to her hands and feet.
Which tells you Christina must have been the attacker.
That's right.
Christina Araujo was the one with homicidal intent, says Morris, triggered when Abel and Aileen took off with her in the rearview mirror. And he says those threatening texts that she sent to Abel's phone before joining them on the road trip read like a confession.
There are threats of bodily harm to both Aileen and Zach in the messages.
You come near me, Ho, I will kill you.
I think it speaks for itself, and that's exactly what happened.
After Eileen's murder, Morris says Araujo wiped down the motel room using the vinegar that Ronnie Jones would later smell. He says Abel's palm prints on the curtain rod got there when he moved it during the cleanup.
He was instructed to pick the curtain rod up over there and put it over there.
By
Christina.
This toll booth surveillance photo from after the murder shows that Christina Araujo, and not Zach Abel, was the one driving the car. And therefore, Morris says, she was the one in control.
The evidence indicates Christina to be the one giving the directions and had everything to be able to manipulate the situation.
Manipulating Zach Abel, says Morris, because of those threats she had been making for years about her father's influence in solving her problems.
Bottom line is Zach was fearful of Christina's father.
Abel chose not to testify. When Morris made his final arguments to the jury, he concluded the evidence showed there was only one person who wanted Aileen Seiden dead.
They haven't proven any motive as to why Mr. Abel would be interested in murdering Miss Seiden. But I'll tell you where motive lies, and it's clear as day, and that's with Miss Araujo.
The motive being, I want rid of the person who's taken my man.
So jealousy.
Yes.
In his closing, Patterson said Christina Araujo already accepted her role in this crime. He asked the jury to hold Zach Abel accountable for his part by finding him guilty of murder.
They lived together, they worked together, they own a business together. They went to the Sportsman's Lodge together. They emptied out the room together. They ran away together. They got arrested together. The only thing they didn't do together was kill Aileen Seiden? No way.
But who would the jury believe?
She wasn't born here, and she didn't live here, but she was left here, and she'll always be remembered by Franklin County.
Residents of Florida's Forgotten Coast will now long remember Aileen Seiden, says Ronnie Jones. Almost 6 years after her death, the community waited for justice for the stranger they now had come to embrace as one of their own.
What was going through your mind as the jury begins its deliberation?
Make it quick.
I was told by the jury foreman that when they first went in, there was 10 in favor of first-degree premeditated murder, with 2 holdouts.
All right, everyone, please be seated.
After about 5 hours of deliberations, the jury reached a consensus.
In the case of the state of Florida versus Zachary Ray Abel, the defendant is guilty of the lesser included offense of second-degree murder.
Second-degree murder, just like Christina Araujo. Adlerstein says the jury foreman told him they just couldn't decide if Zach Abel had actually intended to kill Aileen.
They knew that Christina had pled guilty to second, and I think they eventually said, we're going to give him the same.
It doesn't tell me that they're equally responsible.
Mike Picovet says even with the verdict, he is convinced his friend played no part in Eileen's death.
To me, there's an innocent man sitting in jail.
I think they're both just as guilty as the other.
Now retired from law enforcement, Ronnie Jones spends his days tending his bar in Apalachicola. He says he's still left wondering what really happened inside room 15.
Is this case a mystery to you?
It's not a mystery on exactly what happened, but exactly why it happened. That is what still bothers me to this day. Why?
Like what Aileen might have been about to say that sparked the attack.
It was my understanding in the rumors that she was fixing to disclose the fact that she was pregnant.
Pregnant? And was she pregnant? Did you learn that at autopsy?
I was at the autopsy and she was not pregnant. I don't know if she thought she was or not.
All right. When it was time for sentencing, Zach Abel finally spoke and told the courtroom another twist in this tortured story.
I had stopped and I grabbed a ring pop and I proposed to her with a ring pop and asked her to marry me. And she said yes. And me and Aileen were going to go our way and leave Christina out of it.
Zach spoke at his sentencing and said that he'd actually proposed to Aileen during this trip.
I think that is just BS. It's a great story, but no.
I have been in the justice system in one form or another for 40 years. Rarely have I seen the sort of injuries that I saw on Aileen Seiden.
The judge told Abel he wished he could impose a harsher punishment before sentencing him to the maximum, life in prison.
In the state of Florida, life means life. We don't have parole.
At her sentencing, Christina Araujo's father, Colonel Tony Araujo, set the record straight. He said he never used his influence to benefit his daughter, and he recalled the conversation he had with her after the murder.
You will own up to the truth. You will accept responsibility. You will be the voice of the victim, and you will testify under oath in a court of law. And then whatever is sentenced to you, that's fine.
There was no agreement with her as to the length of sentence. She gave her statement with the knowledge that she could still receive life in prison.
I think about that day every day of my life. The details haunt me, and the memories keep me up.
The judge acknowledged her cooperation and sentenced Christina Araujo to 25 years.
Justice has been served. They won't beat up any more females, neither will she.
I think that every woman kind of thinks, I would leave if I was in that situation. I would just get up and leave. I would never tolerate that.
Eileen's best friend, Allie, hopes there will be more compassion for those trapped in abusive relationships.
It's always the, I'm sorry, it's never going to happen again. And you believe it because you're in love and things are good 95% of the time, but the 5% that are bad are so bad.
With your sister gone, how do you want her to be remembered?
I want her to be remembered as a sweet, loving human being who unfortunately had lost her parents at such a young age, but she was still so sweet. Like, she was such a sweetheart. Her soul was so kind.
"48 Hours. Don't miss an episode."